What happened? It was deleted. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, I am so excited every night. This is my birthday week, and on my birthday, I wanted to spend every single night of the week with you guys. So this week, we have been coming to you live every single night with a new show. Well, on tonight's broadcast, this is going to be the most informative broadcast ever on the Ella Johnson Show because I have all these historians and storytellers and everybody here ready to remember and celebrate our history. Listen, tonight we're celebrating Juneteenth on the Ella Johnson Show because we are remembering our history. We're remembering Rosewood and the Tulsa Race Massacre here tonight. So I'm excited about that. Those are two of my favorite history lessons that I think we all need. I want to welcome you guys. Listen, if you're watching the show from YouTube, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please do me a favor and just share the broadcast wherever you are. And if you are there already, go ahead and just subscribe to my channel, right? And don't forget to hit the bell, because if you hit the alarm, then you'll get notifications of all my shows. I'm excited. I have all of my guests here. They're all so happy. Miss Lizzie has been through some things with me today, right? But yes, she is here. Yes, we have. But we did it. See, that's what we do as women. Well, not to forget about you too, Terry, because I see you're here too. But as women, we get things done. And that's what we're celebrating tonight. Listen, if you just tune into the broadcast, I want you to do me a favor and share. And I want you to leave comments, ask questions, because if you're not familiar with these stories that we're going to talk about tonight, these historians definitely want you to ask questions. I see All Is Well is back tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Kenneth. You guys do me a favor and share. But tonight, by the end of the broadcast, those of you that are watching, you're going to understand why we celebrate Juneteenth, right? And understand this, that our history is also American history. I know they try to make it seem like it's our history, but it's American history. And we refuse to allow it to be silenced. So we're going to continue having these kind of shows. Are you guys ready to talk real tonight? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Y'all gonna have to liven up, man. I'm telling you. Y'all, I know it's the end of the day and everybody's tired, but y'all gonna have to liven up. I know it. But listen, guys, I want to yes, ma'am. Right? I want to share a video, guys. And when we come back, you're gonna get to meet my guests. And we're going to get our show started tonight because we have a lot of information to cover. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. I'm so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. You know, one day someone asked me, "Oh, what is so special about doing talk shows? Like, why do you do it?" I said, because I love for people to see that God is using them, because things don't happen to you. They actually happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So hit that share button and invite your family and friends to watch the Ella Johnson Show. Stay tuned. And we're back. We're back. Listen, if you are just tuning into the Ella Johnson Show, tonight we are celebrating history by remembering Rosewood and the Tulsa Race Massacre. So if you are just tuning in, that's what we're doing tonight. I just was informed that my show is not being seen on Facebook. For whatever reason, it was deleted, but you know, it is what it is. But we are live on YouTube. So for those of you that usually watch on Facebook, please go over to YouTube and watch the show, because this is going to be epic. It just blows me. These kind of shows, that happens sometimes, stuff gets deleted on Facebook, but we're not going to worry about that. Can the church say amen?
Amen.
Amen. Now that was
Amen.
weak. Oh, that
Amen.
was weak, Brother Bacchus. That was weak, Brother Bacchus.
Amen.
Amen.
But that's all right. We are going to go on. I see you. Okay, let's bring Miss Barbara back. There she is, Miss Beautiful. Listen, guys, our history is very important, and studying history and making it known is very important, because we need to know where we've come from so that we can know how to make paths for our society now. Because if we don't, we're just going to repeat it. So I think that history is so important. That's why it was important for me to bring this type of show to the Ella Johnson Show, because we need to talk about our history. We need to really dissect it and see what we could do better, how we can all participate to make our society even better. You guys ready to meet my guest? Yes. Well, Barbara is the first guest that I want you guys to meet. Miss Barbara is the manager of Hannibal Square Heritage Center in Winter Park. That's Florida. So if you guys are ever in Florida, you know, look her up and go and visit her center. She was recently named, this is incredible, Orlando Sentinel recently named her top 10 people who make Central Florida a better place to live. What an honor. Tonight we're going to find out what she's doing so you can understand why. For those of you that want to, come to Florida, well, I mean, minus our governor, but if you want to come to Florida, there are some good things going on there, and she's part of that good thing. She is having some events that are coming up just tomorrow night. She's having the Sounds of Soul, that's storytelling through spirituals. I wish I were in Florida right now, because I would absolutely be there, Miss Barbara, but I'm still in Atlanta. You'll have another one. You'll have another one, but I will be there for Juneteenth, though. So on 17th, she's having a Juneteenth celebration, which is how I found out about all of these people that are on the broadcast besides Terry. Terry's old school. He's been here before. But that's how we found out about that. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, this Virgin Islands beauty. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ella. I was tinkering around and making sure that I could share this. I so appreciate what you're doing, and I want to definitely be as supportive as much as I can, especially to this very important and relevant subject in these times. I'm excited to be here. I'm right along with you as far as making my birthday very purposeful.
Yes.
Sounds of Soul. My birthday was the beginning of the month, and working with artists, local artists, and creating venues that they can showcase their talent, being able to curate Juneteenth. We're having our Juneteenth Remembering Rosewood featuring Lizzie Jenkins. So those kinds of things, these are great ways in which we get to be very purposeful in the communities that we live in and that we serve in. So again, thank you for having me. And we're excited for a lot that's coming up. Sounds of Soul, of course, that was kind of like a personal passion project. A lot of times we forget that June is Black Music Month, along with everything else. It is Black Music Month. I love music. I love the stories that come through music. So when I did this actually in February for another organization, and I wanted to do it also to recognize June is Black Music Month. And one of the ways in which I've learned a lot of history, mended a lot of my wounds, is through music.
Yeah.
It's through the gospel. I always think of chants, spirituals. Those were ways when we think of our ancestors, and a lot of the things that they went through. I don't want to put a label on it, but a lot of the suffering that they may have went through, unnecessary suffering. These were the ways in which they stayed hopeful.
Yes.
Spirituals, when we think of spirituals, I think of hymns, some of the
Yes.
hymns that just they
Oh, I
just
know a whole bunch of them coming from
yeah,
Alabama. Yes, baby. I
I
know
love
them.
a good hymn. I don't I It's not so much of what you believe in as it is as what you feel. And I
Right.
know that
Yeah.
hymns make us feel a certain way. We
Yes.
can rejoice in certain hymns.
Yes.
We can kind
Yes.
of cast all our cares. So that's where the spirituals come. When we think of our African lineage and what the drumming meant. Growing up as a little girl, my father played the drums in the home. And he was also like one of the first steel pan players. So I know of what the drums do for me, and basically the message that it communicates. When there was not a language, drumming was the language. And then,
Right.
of course, there is spoken word. When we look at storytelling, there was always the oral traditions in which we shared information, in which we passed down our history and our culture. And so I think and I don't want to call it new, but spoken word poets, this is the way in which they communicate. We know that rap music, they come from the
Yes.
spoken word. And
Yes.
African Americans, we are lyricists. We have our language, our vernacular, all of that keeps us extremely relevant. And these are forms of communication. So I'm very excited for that. I'm excited to be able to bring that as a personal contribution. And then, of course, through the Heritage Center, this will be our 8th annual Juneteenth. And I am
Oh,
excited.
nice.
I
I
know.
will be there. I am dead. My sister is joining me from Atlanta.
Excellent.
She's going to Orlando with me, and we're both going to be there. Absolutely. I can't
Oh, we're
wait.
excited for this moment. We
Yes.
truly are. Miss Lizzie, Queen Lizzie, and I met maybe about 2015, and we always reminisce right here in this same area that I'm sitting. We brought her to the Heritage Center to speak about Rosewood. And
Mm.
with Rosewood having its centennial January the 1st of this
Yes.
year, Amy Galpin, the curatorial team at the Philip and Patricia Frost Museum in Miami, Florida International University, they reached out to us so they could bring the exhibition here. It's a traveling exhibit, and it's here. This is the second stop, the Hannibal Square Heritage Center. So we feel honored as a community, as a small institutional heritage center. One of the few Black spaces within our local Winter Park community, we are honored that we can have of this level of presentation, this level of history that we get to share with the immediate and surrounding communities. So we are just tickled pink. Juneteenth this year, it's all centered around remembering Rosewood.
Oh,
Belinda
wow.
Llewellyn, who is a storyteller, a poet, She will be Lizzie Jenkins and Dr. Alexander Cornelius. They're going to be in conversation as far as what it means to be a historian. A lot of times, traditionally, women have been given that role, and Lizzie talks about that. We have a chief historian here at the Heritage Center, Fairland Livingston, born and raised in this community. We have community historians. And when we look around, even in our neighboring community, Eatonville, downtown Orlando, the Wellsville, again, you see where there are
Yeah.
women who are carrying the history forward. And I
Yeah.
know that there are many reasons for that. It does not say that men are not a part of this, but somehow innately, this has become what seems like a majority of female, of the nature of the female.
Right.
So we're going to have that. We're going to have a what I'm going to call a decompression as exercise. It's like a release, a breath release, because a lot of times we're hearing these stories that um, a lot of times they're filled with trauma, and we
Yes.
want to make sure that we have a space where we need to release, that we can release. So we're
That's a
going to
good
have,
idea. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Joanna Tress and Eric Andre. Both of them are artists. One's visual, one is a performing artist, and they're going to kind of take us through that decompression on how we can release. And it's not to say in that 15 minutes trauma is released from our body, but we get to learn some exercises and some practices that can help in that process.
Oh, that's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. I'm here for it. I can't wait to hear about all those things that are coming up. But let me introduce Mr. Bacchus. Mr. Bacchus has been on my broadcast before. He is so knowledgeable, and I've never seen someone that's so in love with history like this guy sitting right here. He is a lifelong devoted resident of Tulsa. He's a sovereign citizen of the Muskogee Creek Nation. He has three children. He's an ordained minister. He's an entrepreneur. He is a committed tour guide and historian for Greenwood Chamber of Commerce. In his youth, and this is what I really loved about your story too, Terry. In his youth, he sat right at the feet of a lot of people that went through the Tulsa Race Massacre, and he was able to learn from them. And so, because of his love for his history, he was able to come up with the Greenwood Avenue Project documentary, and the title of it is From the People for the People. And that just recently aired in the cinema there in Tulsa. Welcome, Terry, again to the Ella Johnson Show.
Well, thank you for having me. First, I'd like to say happy birthday to you.
Thank
Right,
you.
right. And so, yeah, it's an
And
honor.
to Barbara. Her
Okay.
birthday was June 1st.
Oh,
Yes.
happy birthday. Happy birthday
Yeah.
to you as well, Miss Barbara. It's an honor to be on your show. And so, but yeah, it's an honor. That's all I can say. It's an honor. I'm pleased, and I'm excited. Don't think I'm not excited. I'm
I
excited.
know. I could tell. I could tell.
Right. I'm
No,
excited.
I know you have. You've been sharing the posts and everything, and I appreciate that so much.
Right.
I want everybody to pay attention here to your website that you have here on your name,
Right.
tourblackstreet.com. I've been trying to
Yeah.
get over there for the longest to tour the Black
Right.
Wall Street. I can't wait to see it. But guys, if you're ever in the area, please go and check out this tour. Looks pretty
Right.
amazing. Yeah.
Right.
Well, welcome again.
Thank
Then
you for
we have
having
the
me.
queen. Guys, we listen, because we have a queen today, I had to wear my queen earrings. Okay. I can't roll out the red carpet for her. I can't just throw her a steak meal over there or anything, but I can at least represent with my queen earrings. But the queen is here. But let me tell you guys, her stuff is long. So you guys gonna have to get something to eat here because she's done so much. And we are honored to have her on the Ella Johnson. So she's an educator, she's an activist, she's a prominent advocate for social justice and equality. She's the founder of the Real Rosewood Foundation. Her underlying commitment to truth and liberation positioned her to be the voice of all those people that were silenced during Rosewood. Her debut literary work, Lizzie's Rosewood Race, takes us on a journey of truth, liberation, and this is the clicker right here, sincere forgiveness. Ooh, yes. We're gonna have to see how God used her on that one. That was good. Sincere forgiveness. Okay. She attended Archer Negro High School. She graduated from Lincoln High School in 1957. She attended Florida Memorial College and earned a degree in elementary education in 1961. Then in 1978, she got her master's at Nova University. She served as a professional educator in Alachua City public schools for 33 years. Hats off to that. No doubt the queen is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Lizzie Jenkins.
Good afternoon. Thank you and happy birthday
Well,
to
thank
both
you.
to both of
Thank you.
you.
Yes, the Gemini season. Listen,
Yeah,
everything you guys think about Geminis, it's true, right, Barbara? We are
yes.
we are what do they say about us? That we're very loyal people. Yeah, but they also say we have different personalities, and we don't want to talk about that part. But anyway, so welcome all of you guys to the Ella Johnson Show. I'm excited about what we're going to learn tonight. Are you guys ready to dig in? Now, I want to show you that when people bring their comments, we'll definitely want to bring those over because, we want people to stay engaged here. Yes, congratulations on the accomplishment. Yeah, I have a lot of comments here I got to make up for. Decompression is needed, is much needed. I think that's a very good idea. Very good idea. I need that because after I noticed after just watching a movie, Barbara, I need to decompress, or something, decon something, right? Because you watch it and it does build, especially when you're passionate about
Yes.
social equality and justice, like Miss Jenkins. All right, so I want to start with Rosewood tonight because guys, this is, and I was talking to Miss Jenkins before the broadcast because I said, you know what, we can throw a little bit of a coy in there as well because we had things back to back. All of these back to back were happening in our country and in our history. So I think they deserve to be talked about. But I want to just give you guys a little background on Rosewood. Rosewood is a city. The whole place, they just wiped all of them off the map. Now I know that Miss Jenkins is going to give you guys a much better version of it. This is just my historical with my mindset of what happened. But it was back in 1920, 1923. I'm sorry, it was in 1923. Um, Fannie Taylor, she was the white lady. Now, this is the thing that gets me with all these stories. Somewhere in the mix, it was always a white woman that started something. It happened in Tulsa and it happened here in Rosewood. Now, I want to put my disclaimer to everybody that's watching this broadcast. I am just tonight, we are just going to talk facts. We're going to talk real facts. We're not going to water down the facts for no one. We're going to just tell exactly what happened. Do we all agree? Yeah? Yeah,
Agree.
we're gonna do that. So I don't want anything I say to offend anyone, but tonight it's all about truth, like what Miss Jenkins does is bring truth, liberation, and forgiveness. Right. So she said that a black man raped her, and because of that, it set off this mob violence. And so I'm gonna let Miss Lizzie take it from there, so she can kind of take us through Rosewood about what happened back in those days with this story.
Thank you. My signature statement is history is who we are. We made it, we lived it, plus live today it. Can't no man stop or ban history, including your governor.
That's
Okay,
right.
he can't talk about history. He knows nothing about our history. He doesn't know the pain that we went through, suffered, and forever, as someone said, it's oral history. It was handed down. And I have been doing this for 30 plus years. I love history because I really didn't have a choice. My mom, who was a sister to the Rosewood school teacher, who was my aunt, said, baby, you must tell that story. You must keep it alive, preserve it. We cannot allow history to repeat itself. This is the purpose of an elegy to Rosewood, which is housed today at the Hannibal Legacy Museum in Winter Park, Florida. It's her artifacts from Rosewood, her Rosewood artifacts that she saved and shared with my mom. And recently, FIU, Amy Gaplin, and others came to my house and cataloged the artifacts so that we can make sure we don't forget history. I am so proud of FIU and the curators and the professors there. They have done so much to help us save history, our history. And I want all of us that look like me to know that we are the history makers.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
We are the important people. And we are the songwriters about oral history. I heard you all talking about songs and verses. Many times we told our history in song and in verse and in poems. My favorite hymn is Farther I stretch
Yes.
my hands to thee, no other help I know. That's powerful.
Mm.
Had it not been for Father and our
Yes.
hands stretched to thee, we would not have survived. My great grandmother, age 13, kidnapped Parchment Farm, Mississippi, walked from Jackson, Mississippi, 678 miles to Archer, Florida, 6 months. If there was not Father for her to stretch her hands to thee, no other help she knew. That's how she survived. And because of her, she was enslaved, but because of her, I am. And because of her, you are listening to me today.
Amen.
Because she did not give up. And I know I'm supposed to be talking about history, but sometimes I just have to do
But you know what? I'm glad. I know. I loved. I enjoyed that because you know what? The first thing I thought about was devotion. Is that why we do devotion like that before our church services?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And that was in common meter. Some people don't know what that means, CM or SM. We have two versions of our song, but that was in CM, I believe, or SM. And for those of you who don't know what that means, don't worry about it. It's not
Okay, that
important.
would
What's
be.
most important are the words. So I am the founder, president of the Real Rosewood Foundation. And the reason I decided to name it the Real Rosewood Foundation, because it's real history. My mother said, you must research, authenticate, and tell the truth. And as you said, Miss Ella Johnson, Queen Ella Johnson, we must tell the truth. That's
That's
what
right.
we do well.
Absolutely.
That's what we do well. And the reason I have so many followers, diverse, is because I tell the truth, and people want to be a part
Right.
of truth telling. And they know when they hear the truth. And some people say, well, they are guilty. I don't know about that. And that's not important to me. What is important? We must keep our history alive. We must not allow anyone to silence our voices.
Amen.
And I think I do a very good job of encouraging people to help us work together to keep history alive. So my mom told me her sister's story, and the reason she knows so much about her sister, the Rosewood school teacher's story. However, now the Rosewood school teacher was really from Archer, and that's where I live, Archer, Alachua County, Florida. I live still today on the property that my great grandfather purchased in 1897. And he said to his children, you better not sell my property because they're not making any more. This is the truth, and this is where we are going to relocate the John Wright house. John Wright was a store merchant in Rosewood. He sheltered the blacks until the train was able
Came.
to come, yes,
Mhm.
and take them to safety. And the first place they stopped was Archer. And my mother said, if you tell the story, you need to sing a song. I said, Mom, I can't sing. So she said, well, I'm going to create you a song. And she did. 13 verses. And just to let you know a brief about the history, I always try to sing, I love that. It starts off Rosewood, Florida, borders Highway 24. A destroyed town, no blacks live there anymore. Where emptiness resides in the silent, sacred breeze. Life there no more, only nature's moss hung trees. So blacks don't live there anymore. When they burned the town down, we have not been back, not even to claim our property. So they sold our
Mm.
property, they took our property, and as I speak today, they have blocked our cemetery. We are not allowed to go to the cemetery and put flowers out for the descendants that are buried there, for the victims that are buried there. Okay. However, the state of Florida owns all of the cemeteries, probably the other states too. We own the cemeteries. It's the property of the state. But the guy who purchased that property will not allow us on it. And he has signs that says no trespassing, you're not welcome here. Okay, so we adhere to those demands because we don't want to get hurt or shot up by this
Right.
foolishness. And
Right.
I will pause. If you want to ask me a question, plus my throat is kind of dry, I need to drink. Take a
Oh
drink.
yes, go ahead. Do that. Do that. Well, I'll do all the hard work tonight.
Okay,
So let's go back to the story because I know that a lot
okay,
of people, whether they know the story or not, everybody has at least watched the movie. So I watched the movie the other day to get it back fresh in my mind, and I know that they fictionalized a lot of different things
mhm.
um, because it was a movie. But a lot
Exactly.
of the stuff, a lot of it seems to be pretty true in
Mhm.
comparison to the history that I've read on like history.com.
Okay.
So I want to go through something because let's talk about the woman, Fanny.
Okay.
She seems to be a big part of this story. She
Yes.
lied. Now in the movie, she was with somebody else, lied and said it was a black man. As soon as she saw the workers coming in, she wanted to make sure that they were able to see, oh no, and she makes this big scene about that it was a black man. Now, Sarah Carrier, who was there, the lady that was washing her clothes, she knew that it wasn't a black man. But I noticed in the movie she didn't say anything right then. And I guess it's because she couldn't. She knew that I guess back then you just be quiet or whatever. But she goes on, and now this riot starts because of this woman. Now, based on the movie, it looked like some of them, the men that were deputized, it looked like they didn't really believe her. They were like, you know what? The dog isn't picking up the scent. The dog took us to one house and it's not picking up the scent. And that it's like, it looks like they're lying. But you notice that one guy, there was one guy, and he was saying, I'm going to take you to the guy who did it. I'm going to show you where I put him out. He had to lie, Miss Lizzie, just to kind of get them off his back. But he ended up getting killed anyway, based on the history lesson that I read. He ended up getting killed anyway because they just felt it was a drunk man. I don't remember his name. I know I have it written down here, but it was a drunk man that just went ahead and shot him because you know, he wasn't giving them any information. So they was like, well, he probably doesn't know anyway, and they killed him. Well, nonetheless, they never found this Jesse Hunter person because in the movie they were looking for Jesse, and in my history lesson they were looking for Jesse.
There was not a Jesse Hunter. All of that was fictional, and that's how they do it. They do it well. What really happened in Rosewood, Fannie Taylor was dating. Her lover was a white man. She was
Mhm.
married. He was married. He lived in Gulf Hammock, and Fannie Taylor lived in Sumner. And my uncle, who was accused later, lived in Rosewood. Her lover carpooled to work with another man from Gulf Hammock each day. However, her lover worked at the same sawmill with her husband, with Fannie Taylor's husband. His name was James Taylor. James Taylor was the foreman or the supervisor, and each morning at 4 a.m., he would open or start the machinery, going, oil the machine, so that when the other crew number two, came to work at 6 a.m., All they had to do was take over and continue. But from 4 to 6, Fanny's husband worked, getting, as I said, the machinery started. He would always return home for breakfast at 6 a.m. Between 4 and 6 a.m., the guy who rode in with the first guy who worked and started work at 4 a.m. with James Taylor, he didn't have any place to go. So he took up time with Fannie Taylor between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. And on this particular morning, she told him, said, look, we are both married. I'm tired. I have a child. I need to raise and respect my child. I'm calling it quits. He didn't want that. A fight ensued, and she was left bruised. So when her husband returned home to get breakfast at 6 a.m., she started to cry and lie. A black man assaulted me. A black man did it. And of course, her husband, James Taylor, was furious. And you know, the unpardonable sin was touching a white woman.
Right, woman.
So he called in his help from the sawmill where he was supervisor and told them, a so-and-so attacked my wife. Let's call in the dogs and we got to catch him. And the night before, January 1, 1923, in Gainesville, Alachua County, Florida, there was a Southeastern Region KKK rally downtown. And they did these rallies quite often in an effort to intimidate Black people. So James Taylor got on the telegraph and called Gainesville for help. Y'all come, this so-and-so has attacked my wife. Come, I need help. Okay. However, they said a fictional name, Jesse Hunter, had broken out from the prison.
Right.
Had dogs at the prison, so they called in the dogs too. Okay, the dogs came. What happened? This guy, he knew if Fannie Taylor lied and cried that a black man assaulted me, he knew he needed to get out of town. How could he get out of town, which was 6 miles from where Sumner, without going through Rosewood? So there's Sumner, there's Rosewood, and then there's Gulf Hammer. So in order to get to Gulf Hammer, he had to go through Rosewood. He knew somebody in Rosewood. He knew somebody in Rosewood who was a Mason. That Mason was my uncle, the husband to the school teacher. So early that morning, after he broke circle with the Sumner people, he headed to Rosewood. He went to my uncle's house 6 a.m. or 6:30, real early, knocked on the door. The Masonic knock. Aaron and his wife, my aunt, heard the knock. They realized it was a Masonic knock. And she told my mom, both sat up in bed, scared to death, because they knew by that knock, that stress knock, that something was wrong. Aaron jumped out of bed, ran to the door. Who is it? Who is it? Whatever was said, my aunt didn't hear it. He opened the door and almost passed out because there was a white man standing there. And whatever he told my uncle Aaron, Aaron did not tell his wife. He ran back to the room and started dressing. She said, what happened? Where are you going? Who is it? He never told her, but what he did, he dressed, went next door. Sam Carter, his cousin, lived next door, and told Sam Carter, we got to help this man. Okay.
Yeah.
We got to get him out of town. Sam Carter owned a wagon. They put him on the wagon and took him the back way to Gulf Hammer. And that's why, you know, some of the information you're reading is true. That's why the dogs lost the scent when they heisted him onto the wagon and took him home to Gulf Hammer. He was free. After they dropped him off, he was free. He didn't have anything to worry about. He was safe. But Aaron, my uncle, and Sam Carter were really upset because they didn't know the details of what was going on. They didn't know what they had gotten themselves in. They helped a brother, a Masonic brother. They were not brotherly, okay? They were still divided, but the oath, believing in the oath. You know, we have always been more dedicated to them.
What? Say it.
Than to us.
Yes.
And that's what it was. So they came back to Sumner on their way home. They circled close enough to Sumner before coming to Rosewood, to know that a crowd was, as my mom said, brewing. And when you all hear me use these words, these are the words they use. These are the words that are back then that they understood. And I don't try to use any big words. So a crowd was brewing. So that meant the people from Gainesville, the KKK people were coming to Gainesville coming to Sumner from Gainesville to help out the best that they could.
Right.
And that afternoon, they decided to follow the scent of the dog, and the dog scent brought them to Aaron's house. But remember, I said they lost the scent there.
Yeah.
So Aaron had come home, and when they got home, Sam Carter told his wife, and Aaron told his wife, go to Aunt Sarah's house. And she wanted to know for what. She said, hey, she was a seamstress. She was sewing and spring cleaning New Year's. However, Aaron, her husband, was so disoriented, she decided to accompany him to Aunt Sarah's house. She knew something bad had happened. They didn't tell the wives. They said, go there. Aaron went too. They had to put him to bed. He was so out of it. He was very, very afraid. And it was really, really cold during this time. So they put him to bed, covered him up. When the mob came to Aaron's house, they couldn't find anybody. So they were angry. Okay. They went back home. And if you don't know it, I want you to know and hear me really good. They are a bunch of cowards, just like the ones that climbed the wall January 6th, the insurrectionists.
Say it.
Bunch of cowards.
Yeah.
So they went back to Rosewood very upset. In Rosewood, they made their own moonshine, so they got drunk. They have to get drunk to build their nerves. They got drunk. So later that night, they came back to Aaron's house. Okay. And they didn't find anyone there. So they said, somebody in the crowd must have said, let's go to Aunt Sarah's house. They went to Aunt Sarah's house. That's where they found Aaron. Kicked the door open, went in, put ropes around his neck, dragged him out of the house, tied him behind the Model T, and dragged him from Rosewood to Sumner, which is 2.5 miles. He lived. We don't know why. You drag somebody and they live. But anyway, they beat him almost to death. And the sheriff, during all of this time while everything was going on, the sheriff, my mother said, knew everybody. The sheriff was from Rosewood to Sumner to Cedar Key. Cedar Key had a train hub, a depot hub where they kept the train. And there were several different train companies that kept their trains in the hub, because what they did, they were timbermen and woodcutters. So they would haul the timber on the train from Rosewood to Jacksonville and on up to New York or wherever they sold the timber, cypress and oak trees and pines. Okay, so on this particular day, the same day, the first day, day one, they beat Aaron almost to death. But when he was bloody and they thought they had almost killed him, and they said, well, the bitch is damn near dead. Let's finish the M off. And the sheriff came up just in time and said, no, don't you finish that black off. I will kill him. Throw him in my car. They threw Aaron in the car, almost dead, bleeding. What the sheriff did, took him to Gainesville, to the jail in Gainesville. The sheriff there was P.J. Ramsey, and said, put him up, and you better not tell anybody that he is he. Get those two black doctors in and clean him up. For 6 months, Aaron stayed in Alachua County Jail unharmed. The story is just awesome, how 3 white men saved the lives of the Rosewood survivors. Yeah. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Would y'all like to hear more? But
I mean, you're a great storyteller. I'm just sitting here like, where is my popcorn? This is it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I remember, because it would have been John Wright, and the 2 guys from the train.
Okay, John and William Bryce. John Wright, the store merchant, and the sheriff, Levy. The sheriff was Bob Walker. And you know what? My story just goes on and on and on. On my paternal side, McIntyre, I have a lady doing my research of the McIntyre family. She's awesome. She's a white lady. She's a good friend of mine. And she wrote a book about the Newberry Six that we didn't talk about yet. They murdered, lynched six people in Newberry. Newberry is 11 miles from Archer. And
Right.
that happened in 1920. Okay.
Wow.
But she is writing a book, and she said about the McIntyre. She called me the other day. She said, Liz, well, whatever she called me. She said, I noticed in your research that the McIntyres are, my great great grandfather was Henry McIntyre, and he married Emmeline McIntyre. And there was a lady by the name of Dilla Love that lived in the house. And you know, mother-in-laws or mothers would live in the same house when they got older because we've always taken care of our elderly.
Right.
So she found her on the census, and she said to me, but you know what? Dilla Love is the mother of John Wright. I almost fell out of my chair. John Wright? I said,
Wow.
yes, the famous John Wright, the store merchant. Why was she living in the house with the McIntyres unless she is the mother of Emmeline McIntyre or the mother of your great great grandfather, Henry McIntyre? I said, don't tell me anymore. I can't take it. I had to decompress. I couldn't take anymore. And she said to me, and I want you to know that the McIntyre knew the Wrights, the Wilkerson, and the Walkers very well long before 1923. Wilkerson was the man killed by Sylvester Carrier. She said, those are your people. I said, shut up. And that's exactly what I said because I know her like that. I said, shut up and don't tell me anymore. And until right now, well, this was just a day or 2 days ago, I have not heard from her because I couldn't take any more of
Oh,
it.
wow.
My
So that
family,
was one of the 3 people that Sylvester killed?
yes, yes,
Because there were 3 people that were killed on that porch, that were dead on that porch, right?
yes. Aunt Sarah was
Mhm.
one of them, but she really was killed in the house.
In the house through the
What they
window. Yeah,
said,
on the movie they said she
yes,
walked
yes.
out on the porch, but that's not. Yeah, that's true. She
But
was killed through
the movie was fictionalized. However, my mother was age 20, single, still living at home when Rosewood happened. And they asked her, they knew my mom because I talk a lot and she's taught me well. So when the movie, John Singleton did the movie, and when they did a free screening here in Gainesville, they invited my mom as the guest speaker. Okay. 8th grade education. Only went to school 4 months out of the,
Wow.
but she was the guest speaker. And they said, Mrs. Robinson, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate the movie? She said, oh, I gave it a 7, which was good. She
That
said,
is
but
good.
the 2 most important things that happened, it let the world know that Rosewood really happened.
Right.
And it let people know that white women lie on black men.
Yes.
And every white person in the movie went, ooh, started talking. My mama put her hands on her 95-year-old hips and she said, not only did they lie on our black men then, they're still lying on them today.
Say it. I was just getting ready to say that. Yes. Yes.
You could not
But
hear
this is why
anything.
history is so important. This is why history is so important.
It is.
Yeah.
It
There's
is.
a
I had
pattern.
a group of boys to come out today, 18 boys, 8th graders. And one of them had the nerve to tell me, I don't like Rosewood history. I don't like history. I said, that's because you don't know who you are. Before I knew it and realized what I was going to say. This is
Wow.
why it is so important to
Yes.
teach and reach our kids because they are the people that is going to carry it forward.
Absolutely.
And I
Now,
talk
in the movie Sylvester, they said that Sylvester got away and he got in the coffin in the casket with his, but in the what I read today is that he was actually killed.
he was killed. No,
Yeah, he
he was
wasn't
not.
killed.
Sylvester left Rosewood on that train with my
Oh, he
aunt
did.
with his
Okay.
shotgun. And guess what?
What?
The sheriff knew he was on there. They knew he still had his shotgun. Why was he a shotgun carrier? Because he did not like it. He did not approve of white men coming to Rosewood interfering with our pretty black women. Okay, he didn't like that.
Okay.
All they wanted to do was sex them. You know the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
Sylvester protected them. He hated James Taylor, and James Taylor hated him. So they had a grudge against each other. And
So
this
did
is
John Wright really sleep with Sarah's? Was that Sarah's
uh,
granddaughter?
no,
That's not true. Okay.
that was she was a survivor, and she was living during that time when he added that. You know what? She had children, grown children, living in Hilliard, Florida, which is near Jacksonville. When one of her sons heard that, his name was Wilson Hall, when he heard that John Singleton portrayed his mom as sleeping with John Wright, in real life, he had a heart attack. Real life. He was
Ooh.
hurt. He hated John Singleton.
Ooh.
He met John, he lived long enough to tell him how much he hated him. Guess what? The man was healthy. 6 months later, he was dead. He died because they lied on his mother. He died. And I told my mom about it. Mom said that's not happened. That didn't happen. I know that lady. So they just twisted it, and he could have made a movie without,
Yeah, I
classifying.
was wondering what was the significance in that, because she ended in the movie, she ended up getting killed anyway.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes,
I was like, I didn't get that part either. But I know that that happens a lot
it
when
does.
with our women when they're slaved, because I mean that's why I wasn't too surprised to see it, because we know that historically that does
Yeah,
happen. So he did get away on the train. So
he did.
why is it that they didn't let some of the people on? Did you see in the movie
That wasn't
where
that wasn't true.
that's not true? Because some people they were
No,
like, because they didn't want the men on there or something.
no,
I
no, no, no,
read.
no. The real truth is, I told you, the sheriff worked 96 hours straight. He also needed somebody to help him other than the train conductors. So he would go to the white man that lived in Cedar Key and said, look, he knew everybody. I need you all to help me rescue these people from Rosewood. He may not have said people. I don't know what he said. But they said, no, Bob, that's the sheriff. No, we can't risk or jeopardize our family lives. We can't. He did not stop begging. So on one
Wow.
occasion, they said to him, well, Bob, if the train leaves at early in the morning, we will be able to help you when the crooks are asleep.
Mm.
Okay. So they agreed to help him get the people out of Rosewood on the train early a.m. Okay. And what they did, I call them my unsung heroes. So when they got to Rosewood on that train that came early morning, and by the way, my aunt was the train attractor, wrong word. Anyway, she notified the train by John Wright wife backing up, gave her, Mary Wright gave my aunt a long black skirt and a lantern. That lantern was the light for the train conductors approaching Rosewood. And that skirt was to camouflage the light so that the people, if any white people or men were in Rosewood, like the KKK, they would have less ability to see her. So she was standing on the track to notify the train conductors when they were getting closer. But there were white men on that train to help. And I'm going to say this verse to you for you. The Cedar Key train conductors were told to pick up the Rosewood. Standing by the tracks with the lantern, its young school teacher stood, waiting in desperation to carry out the sheriff's plan, to round up the hidden survivors, to board the midnight train. Remember, I said the train.
Ooh, yes.
So this is my
I
mom.
love it.
This is her story.
Wow.
This is how she calculated and wrote this story for me to share. The sheriff and the store owner worked around the clock, informed the train conductors just when and where to stop, pick up the men, women, and children who were hiding out, and bring them to Archer, Florida, traveling the same old route. Remember, I said Archer, Florida, where my aunt
Uh-huh.
was the
Uh-huh.
first stop that morning
Oh.
on January 4, 1923. So the story goes on and on and on. Ask me some more questions. I like questions. If you
Oh.
got questions.
You guys had Barbara, do you guys have some questions? I don't want to just control it. Let's ask her some questions about what you know about Rosewood, because I know that our guest, if you I mean our viewers, if you're watching, if you have a question for Ms. Lizzie, please by all means ask it. Because I know we all watched the movie, so we're just like, okay, what was real and what wasn't?
Yeah.
Do you have
The,
any questions, Barbara?
Not at this time. Every time I listen to Lizzie, I learn something new. So I not at this time.
And now this is what was strange, Miss Lizzie. When I read about Sylvester, they talked about somebody, what was her name? Mulvaney Langley. Langley.
Minnie Langley.
Millie Langley. Now, how did
Minnie
she tie into this story?
Minnie Langley was the granddaughter of Sarah
Sarah's
Carrier.
granddaughter. Okay.
No, she wasn't. Sorry. She was the granddaughter of Emma Carrier, which was Aaron Carrier's mother. So Minnie Langley was my uncle's niece. And the story is so long, but I have done my research and I'm proud of that. So her husband, James Carrier, Uncle James, Aaron's father, was killed. He was not lynched. Sylvester was lynched. Okay, when I say lynched, he was lynched. He was strung up, hung up on a rope. He was lynched, but Uncle James were killed in 1923. And Emma, his wife, Aaron's mother, was old. She had several children, still young children, and was raising a grandchild. Minnie Lee Langley was her grandchild. And there was the lady that played the teacher was a great grandchild, and she had a child. But anyway,
You mean Scrappy?
Scrappy. I knew
Scrappy.
Scrappy. I met her.
Okay.
She was so pretty. She was a pretty girl because Aaron and my aunt, they ran for the next 25 years. They would come to our house where we lived on the weekend and hide out or, just seeking quiet time. I met Minnie Lee. I knew Minnie Lee very well. I knew Minnie Lee better than I did Scrappy. After the death of Aunt Emma, she died, stressed out, frustration, hurt because her husband was killed. And she was thinking about, I got these kids to raise. So she got off the train in Gainesville and stayed with some of the relatives. And Aaron and my aunt, when he got out of jail and the sheriff brought him to Archer and told he and my aunt, y'all need to get the hell out of Archer. They went to Jacksonville. But they would come back often to see his mom because they knew she had these children and they were living with other people. They didn't have a house to live in. So she died in 1924. And guess who inherited all of those 7 children? Aaron and my aunt.
Oh.
And she did not like it. She was trying to get her life together. She had to work. She worked as a domestic engineer, which is a maid, okay, for a doctor. And having those kids to feed, she had to walk to work. She was not used to that. She was a teacher. And now she was
Right.
doing paid work. So
Oh,
one
wow.
day it rained, and the lady, the doctor's wife, said, well, Gussie, they call her Gussie, I will take you home because it's raining and you don't need to walk. She said, okay. When she brought her home, she saw all of those children. And she was living then in a shotgun house, their third house since they moved to Jacksonville. So what she did, she didn't ask her any questions, I don't believe, because my aunt didn't talk. So my aunt continued to cook, and the lady, Mrs. Rollins, would always buy more food than she needed for her family and would make sure my aunt would take it home to feed.
Oh.
those
Yeah.
other children.
The
So
other
the
kids.
story is
Wow.
ugly, but it has a lesson. It has a
Yeah.
message.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I have
So
They all do.
quick question. Miss Lizzie, what was the population of Rosewood, or what was the population of Rosewood? And in that, what was the population of the Black community?
good question. The population of Rosewood, let's say maybe 21 whites, just going by the sense by the school records. People often say, oh, there were a lot of people, a bunch of people killed, and
Mhm.
there were a bunch of people in Rosewood. Not true. Judging the school
Right.
records, I had to fight like hell to get these records from the school board, Levy County School Board. They were keeping all of this information hidden. So if I went one time, I went 9 times. They knew I was not going to stop bugging them or stop harassing them until they gave me those records.
Mhm.
Finally, they did. The records showed there were 20 parents and 47 kids. Okay. Now, 1919. So you can add that together, see approximately how many kids. However, everybody was not listed because there were kids living in Rosewood that didn't go to school.
Right,
Mm.
Okay.
right.
So I don't know how many, but some of them did not go to school. And Emma's son, Aaron's brother, hated school. Even when he moved to Jacksonville, they could not get him to go to school. He didn't like school,
Mm.
rather work.
Oh wow.
Okay, so judging based on that, on those numbers, Queen Barbara, I would say maybe 125, okay, or less.
Okay.
And basing on the white records, there were 4 or 5 white parents and
Yeah.
a few children. People
Yeah.
don't know I have this information. So when
No,
I
I
hear,
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, when
I
I
saw
hear,
that today too.
yes,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no. I allow them to talk, but it's all is documented in my book.
Yeah.
All of the records
Nice.
I'm showing. So I don't talk unless I have supporting evidence. My
Yes,
mama
ma'am.
said, tell the truth.
That's right. Tell the truth. Shame to them. Yeah, I saw that. There were more blacks that lived in Rosewood
Yeah.
than whites. Yeah.
You know what happened in 1913? They built the sawmill in Sumner. Okay. And because of the cypress and the oak trees and the pine trees were deplenished. Therefore, when they built that sawmill in Sumner, people from Rosewood, black people and white people, left Rosewood, relocated to Sumner. They lived in shotgun houses too. And what's so amazing about people when they say, oh, yeah, the blacks, some of our black family members are broadcasting, oh, yeah, our people lived in 2-story houses. You're a lie. It's because you haven't done research. That's why you can say that.
Yeah.
In Sumner, white folks lived in shotgun houses. Black folks lived in shotgun houses. In Sumner, they were made differently. And in Rosewood, same thing, shotgun houses. There's nothing wrong with that. That was the way of life. That was
Right.
so what these people wanted more than anything else to raise their family, work and feed their family, and go to send their kids to school. And I want you to know that more than 297, the last time I checked, Rosewood descendants have received the financial aid from the scholarship, gone to college, and they are professionally working out there. The last one I remember graduating was last year, and now he is an attorney and he is working for Morgan and Morgan. So they have
Nice.
done extremely well. And when I tell you extremely well, they use that scholarship money from the
Amen.
state and they have made a better life for
I
themselves.
love it. I would love to meet some of them. To see how, because I like the story from the beginning all the way to the end, because it didn't end that day, you
Mm-mm.
know.
No, it
It
did not.
carried on. That's right.
Right,
So
with
it
the
continued.
reparation. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yes.
and the reparation was really small, but the most important thing, they acknowledged they had committed a wrong.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
My family, my aunt's family, it was 10 of them that to receive reparation. I didn't receive anything, but I worked like hell to make sure my family was recognized. Okay.
Right.
And for the 10 of them, their total amount was about $20,000. My mother's check was $3,333.33. So when I wrote and asked for my share, the the civil rights attorney told me, black guy, he said, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Jenkins, but because your mother is living, you don't get anything." I said, that's fine with me. I just wanted to make sure history is remembered in my family and that my aunt family, the Rosewood school teacher, is recognized. I didn't
Well,
have a
you're
problem.
doing a phenomenal job of making sure of that. And the
Yeah.
song, I love that. I love the song. You need to record that somewhere. I love it. I
I,
love it.
do,
It's
I
good.
do have it recorded, and people play it, but they are afraid to go public with it. They play it secretly, okay,
Oh,
because
oh,
they know it's my words. But I'm going to publish it professionally and put it out there to market it.
there it
Okay.
is. I
Um,
can't wait. I can't wait for that. Well,
yes.
we're gonna definitely move on to Greenwood now. That was just so much stuff. I knew that we weren't going to be able to cover everything on this
Right.
one show because Rosewood is just it's
It's a
big,
lot.
it's
It's
huge.
big.
But we're making that first step because we are talking about it, and I love how you're bringing out the truth
Yes.
because it's even different than what we read, what we see in the movie. It's like who knows the real truth. So I appreciate and applaud you for
So,
that.
so may I say one other thing?
Yes,
My
ma'am.
started out, my foundation name was I Too Lived Rosewood because I lived it through my mom. And I spoke at the University of Florida one day, and the black professor said to me, "Mrs. Jenkins, I'd like to suggest that you change your foundation name to the real Rosewood Foundation." I said, "Why?" He said, "I felt like I was there. Your information
Oh,
is so real. I enjoyed
yeah,
it so much. The kids were spellbound. They have never been
yeah.
this quiet before." He
You
said,
are an excellent storyteller. You really are.
"I
You really are.
yes,
I was there.
there."
I forgot I was on the camera because I'm ready to just chill, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. But yeah, I appreciate that. We're gonna move on to Greenwood, Mr. Terry.
Yes.
Listen, here we go with the Tulsa Race Massacre, Black Wall Street Massacre. That's how some people know it, or the Tulsa Race Riot. But here again, we have a white woman
Yes.
that sounded the alarm.
Mhm.
And this black kid, and I bless his heart because he was scared. This woman starts yelling, he's scared, he runs home, and they arrest him. So take us from that through through what happened that day in Tulsa, Greenwood
So
area.
Dick Rowland was the young gentleman's name.
Yeah.
Sarah Page was the name of the white lady, of the white girl. So like um, the one place downtown where blacks could use the bathroom at when they worked downtown. And most of us worked in the service industries. We was maids, bartenders, that type of deal. And so the only place that blacks could use the bathroom at, she worked the elevator there. It was kind of strange and odd that a white woman be working the elevator where only blacks could go to the bathroom at. That's real strange. And another thing is to tell you the truth, if a woman is working the elevator, no matter who she is, whether it's my mother, auntie, grandma, sisters, the woman down the street, the white woman, Sarah Page, if you work in the elevator, you're really working. I think that went over your head right there. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? She was doing more than pushing buttons and going to the next floor. Right,
Uh-huh. I
right,
do.
right. So,
She
You
but
was
did go over
working.
my head.
She
I'm
was
just gonna be honest.
she was working. She was working. I got
Yes.
yeah,
it.
right,
Yes.
right.
She
The
was
right word.
working.
Working.
I mean, but anyway, so, like for all of us in Greenwood, I'm just gonna cut through the chase. All
Cut
of us
through
in
it.
Green, all of us in Greenwood who care to know, right? So like when they burnt everything down in Greenwood, systematically burnt everything down. 3 months later, Dick Rowland was in charge. She didn't come to court. She never said he did anything to her, right? 3 months later, Dick Rowland and Sarah Page left Tulsa together.
Get
Uh-uh.
out of here.
Uh-uh.
Wow.
What?
So,
Wow.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that part.
yeah, so one of the
Wow.
stories pertaining to why she was in the elevator acting the way she acted was she finally got along with him after her knowing good news about her being pregnant, and she told him at that moment. So when the door opened up, that nigga ran up out of there, and she started crying, and the
Wait a
store
minute.
clerk,
So he ran because she told him she was pregnant?
he probably just ran from the situation,
Yeah.
like
I mean, some people, I mean, he
it
really
hate
ran. Some people just
it
avoid pay
right,
child
right,
support. He
right.
really ran.
It
Oh,
haste,
wow.
right? It haste.
Wow.
But yeah, and the store clerk seen her in a somber mood. She never said he did anything at that time either. It was just the store clerk.
Wow.
But yet they arrested him the next day. That was May 30th. May 31st, they
Ah,
arrested him.
that's close to my birthday.
Right. And so what happened was um, they took him to jail. There was a article that came out like hang a nigga tonight, right? But now they can't find that article. The one that they can find, all it say nab Negro for attacking girl in the elevator. They can see, they know what that one is, but the one that says uh, hang a nigga tonight. So that got the mob, like she said earlier, the mob started brewing. Things started coming, people was coming. And so what happened was a lot of the blacks who had not worked, but who had fought in World War One, they took up their arms because they understood the Second Amendment that they could bear arms, and they went downtown like not to break him out, but y'all not gonna hang him.
Right.
So as
Right.
the white mob started getting bigger and bigger, a white man tried to take a shotgun from one of the blacks, and it went off. And so the mob dispersed. They came to Greenwood. They began to fight. While they was fighting, we always win, no matter football,
Thank
basketball,
you.
baseball,
Yes.
what have you. We was
True.
we was winning, right? We was we kept them at bay. We kept them
Right.
out of Greenwood. So, but by morning light, the train will come, make a noise. Everybody, both sides of the tracks can hear it, right? But for the whites, that was their signal to come in and start looting, burning, attacking, shooting, killing. By daybreak, the planes is up in the air now. So they dropping Molotov cocktails down on wherever they could spot fire, right? And so they was dropping them down. And they was incendiary, they was blowing up, exploding. And so before they ended, the National Guards came and they didn't stop nothing, actually. All they did was, took the blacks, put them in internment camps, and that allowed the whites systematically burn down every building, murder. Say, for instance, there was two black ladies running from two white guys. A white guy chasing them, and the National Guard is there, but he didn't stop. They didn't stop that because they was white too, right? So
Right.
if they was going to attack those ladies and do harm to them, that's what they done.
Right.
If they was going to string me up to hang me, the National Guard did not stop that. That allowed, they allowed them to do what they wanted to do. They just took us on to internment camps and put us in internment camps. And I mean, they burnt
Wow.
everything down, systematic in an 18-hour period.
18 hours.
18 hours.
This is what is just mind blowing. Greenwood was one of the most prosperous and thriving Black communities in the country at that time.
Okay,
Correct?
there was, yes, there was three factors that went into that. First of all, it was oil, right? So they
Oil.
found oil in Oklahoma, right? So when they
Mhm.
found oil just 10 miles south of Tulsa, um, the whites came out, because Oklahoma's going to be a black state. But the whites came, they built Tulsa on oil money. I mean, everybody was here. Your Howard Hugheses, they was here. Um, your Standard Oil with the Rockefellers, they was here. J. Paul Getty's, they was all here. The Sinclairs, Robert Skelly, I mean, Phillips, they all was here. Frank Phillips, they was here. And that money trickled down real good. Like I said earlier, for the most part, most of us worked in the service industries, we had our professionals, our doctors, our lawyers, but the money trickled down, and we came in Greenwood. We spent with each other. We didn't trade nowhere else. Secondly, the reason it did what it done was, are y'all familiar with the Indian Removal Act, right? Well, the Trail of Tears, 1830, the Indian Removal Act, Andrew Jackson, that was us. That was us in that Trail of Tears,
Mhm.
Um, the narrative is that, the Mongolian Indians that we had today as natives, blah, 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 blah. But that was us. We came in that Trail of Tears. And so Oklahoma became, I got some paperwork right now that they was gonna make Oklahoma a state called Lincoln in 1866. 1867, that it was in Congress trying to get it passed. That Oklahoma would become a black state. And so with that being said, there was more black townships in Oklahoma than anywhere in the country, right?
Mm.
And so it wasn't until the Great Depression era, to the late 20s, early 30s, that a lot of those towns folded. But there was a network system into Greenwood, right? I'm a product of that. Like my great great grandfather, his name was Joe Hutton Senior. You can Google him, Joe Hutton Senior, Freeman Indian, whatever you want to call it, Freeman Indian. Um, you can Google his name. He started a town called Huttonville. His brother started Grayson. Another family member of his had Clairview, and so on and so forth. Well, my father was from a town called Vernon, Oklahoma. It was all black. My mother was from Tallahassee. That was an all black town. So I'm a product of that network system in the Greenwood, right? And
Right.
so my family is not the only family that done such, right? And so, and thirdly, it was nepotism, right? So
Mm.
if you came to Greenwood and you got on, right, you're gonna call up somebody in your family member and say, hey, come on up, however you get here, come
Right.
on, I'm gonna put you on, we're gonna make this money, we're gonna live good. And that's what it was. Even prior to the massacre, and sure enough, after the massacre. See, what people don't understand is that Greenwood in itself, right, from 1905 to 1906, 1906 to 1921, that was just a 15, 16-year period. And they destroyed it. But by 1925, they rebuilt back over, right? Fully functional. Well, just imagine this. From 1925 to 1970, that's a 45-year run as Tulsa been the oil capital of the world. And just imagine what went on in Greenwood over those 45 years. So have you ever been to
That's
Bourbon
true.
Street? Have you ever been to Bourbon Street or Beale Street or Harlem? Just imagine two of those places at the same place at one time, right?
Wow.
It went a whole mile, the street did. There was over 45 blocks of people living and doing things within the community. And so that's basically what the movie is about too, Greenwood Avenue Project. It's about the rebuild and the life that was in Greenwood, right? You can't talk Greenwood without talking the massacre, but
Of course.
that's been
Yeah.
regurgitated so many times. So I had a vision, me and Karen had a vision to tell the story of that 45-year period that it went until urban renewal and intimate domain and a highway still system killed Greenwood to this day.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
Pure jealousy.
right.
Pure jealousy, though.
So
We.
I heard her say earlier, Miss Jenkins say earlier about the Ku Klux Klan. In 1918, Tulsa had over 40,000 Ku Klux Klan members meet in Tulsa,
Oh.
right? And
Mhm.
so, and they seen how the blacks was living at that time. And so they probably devised that plan like that was just enough lie to tell to get everybody
Yes,
motivated
that's
to
exactly
do
what I think too.
right, to
Yes,
do what they done, right? Because it was like, this was the end of the Red Summer of the
right.
1919 with all the
1919.
all the riots across the country, right? All the not say riots, but the massacres that took
Right.
place. Like in
Bloodshed.
Ellen,
A lot of
like in
bloodshed.
Ellen,
Right.
Arkansas, they wiped that city out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Elaine, Arkansas. You
Wow.
never heard of Elaine, Arkansas?
I've never heard of that one. This story.
Okay, Ella Johnson. That's what I want you to do.
All right.
I want you to Google Elaine, Arkansas, and study that.
Okay.
And I want you to bring that to the forefront, right? And take it from there and watch your show blow up.
Oh
Watch it
wow.
blow. Elaine, Arkansas.
Wow.
Yeah,
So this was
right,
happening a lot where I mean where KKK and white
right,
mobs were just going all over the country just doing this.
right.
I mean,
Yes. Yes.
They was instilling fear into the
Yes.
people. So
Fear.
for so long, there was family members in Tulsa. If they was to give out reparations and they would want you to prove that you are a descendant, there was people that's descendants that their family never told because they
Yes.
was just
Mm-hmm.
wow. And he went away. Come back. Come back.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Someone calling. I'm using my mobile device. So because I'm on Greenwood right now. So if you was a descendant, you wouldn't know it because it's just as simple. Say, for instance, my Uncle Johnny is missing, right? My Uncle Johnny is missing because why? My Uncle Johnny is missing because the army or the police or the fire department is the reason why he's missing. I couldn't go to them and say, hey, my Uncle Johnny is missing because I come up missing, right? So
Mm.
people just didn't say nothing. They kept it quiet. They went on about their life living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, like nothing never happened. But the money was so good, right? You kind of it didn't
And what
ease
money are
it.
we talking about? What money are we talking about
The
was so
money
good?
the oil money that trickled down that was in Greenwood during
Gotcha.
all the
Okay.
rebuild period and everything, people just didn't come. See, the older people that survived the massacre didn't want us to be bitter. They wanted us to be better.
Mm.
You'll hear that over and over again in the film, right? They wanted us to be better, not bitter. Because they seen what happened. They seen other blacks being pulled asunder. They seen blacks getting heads chopped off. They seen blacks getting hung. They seen girls getting raped. They
Oh,
seen all of
Jesus.
this, right? They seen it.
Oh.
Before the people could put us in internment camps, they seen all of that. And so it was bad. It was bad. It was bad, but they rebuilt just the resiliency of a people. They rebuilt though. The people rebuilt. That's the main thing. That they rebuilt but they destroyed it once again. Destroyed it this time with the pen. They took the pen and used eminent domain. They used urban renewal. It was
Right.
to some it was progress. See, everybody didn't prosper in Greenwood, but when people seen that money that they got with them checks for that land, that was the most money a lot of them had seen at one time. So of course, okay, yeah, I'm gonna better my situation because you got to realize now it's 40 years later. Now a lot of these homes wasn't built with the best material, so they was rickety and raggedy. You know what I mean? Those shotgun houses, and
Yes.
the studs are warping now after so many years. And, the roof need work. You know what I mean? So they took that money and they
So the
moved
government gave them money to rebuild,
to move
to
urban
move.
renewal. Yes.
Okay.
They came in, they bought up the property. They bought up. If you came to Green, I thought you was coming to Juneteenth this year, but that's okay. You ain't coming.
But
I don't
listen,
want to
I'm
hear it.
gonna
I don't
be
want to hear it. I know I don't want to hear it. You're gonna be Orlando. You're gonna be in
I'll
Orlando
be
with
in
Miss
Orlando.
Barbara.
I'll be with
Right,
Miss
with Miss
Barbara.
Miss
Yeah.
Barbara. That's great. That's great.
Hey,
That's
listen,
great.
listen, Terry,
Right.
we will share her. We will
Right.
share her. We
Right.
will share her.
I'm
Cause I
coming
wanna,
to
I wanna,
Oklahoma.
I
I really
wanna
do.
come. I wanna come. I got a place for you right up here where you can go remote. down on Greenwood. You go live remotely. I was gonna bring people to you all day long and just talk and go live all day long.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so, but still, yeah, they really did the people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, real bad, right? They did them bad. They rebuilt. They did them bad again, right? And this is me talking. Urban renewal, eminent domain, and the highway system was worse than any massacre could have been. Yes, we lost
Ooh.
lives, right? Watch this. Mr. Cannon, dry goods store. He had to move. In the 80s, Bud Walton came out of nowhere. That could have been Mr. Cannon. We could have been shopping at Cannons instead of Walmart's right now. So generational
Wow.
wealth was taken. Just imagine
Wow.
a mile long of businesses was taken. Then there was businesses also corner stores elsewhere in the community on cross streets, right? So it was what 1, 2. It was Cincinnati, Detroit, Elgin, Frankfort, Greenwood, Hartford, Iroquois. All those streets ran north. Then all the cross streets that went across the 40 blocks in the whole community, they went a mile long. So
So let me ask, because I definitely want to try to wrap things up before we get out of here tonight. Where does everybody sit with where we are today? Let's see. Now we've talked about the history. We see what happened in Rosewood. We see what happened in Tulsa. They were very similar with some of the things that happened, as is most things did back then. But where do we see where we stand today? Are we better? Are we bitter? Are we on the path? I mean, where do we sit? Do you guys all on the panel here think?
Yeah. So one of the things, and Terry said it, and when I visited Lizzie a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks now, went over and did the podcast, and in hearing the story of Rosewood, and I've heard it on a couple of occasions, the common thread is whether it's a massacre, whether it's gentrification, whether it's eminent domain, it's the removal of Black bodies out of communities. And when you have that, as he stated, when we know that Black businesses, they are the cornerstones, literally, of our communities. So when you live in a community that is gentrified, that does not have representation, you do not feel like you are seen. You do not feel like you are being heard. You feel as though you are eking out everything. You have to eke out almost everything. And so we don't belong to the process. And that's the problem. So therefore, we have to create our own structures, our own infrastructures in order to have what feels like community. We're in this part now where we're constantly talking about diversity, equity, inclusion. And I keep saying inclusion is going to cost us. Juneteenth is a perfect example of that. I went
right,
into one of the dollar stores the other day,
right,
and in the dollar store, they got the plates, they got the cup, they got the da da da, everything, T-shirts. We can go into stores and find T-shirts that are saying Juneteenth. And remember, those T-shirts were created by Black vendors. So now the bigger markets, the bigger stores, the
right,
Walmarts, the this and the that, they now are producing these things, and does not, and it again, it etches us out of a market that we created.
right,
So when
Wow.
we started speaking about inclusion, it was also given non-African Americans, non-Blacks permission to things that we created out of economics, out of we needed those things in order to survive. So now they're creating what was meant for us, and it's almost like we're buying. We have to now purchase back our own things. And so we're in a very fickle time as African Americans. And I cannot remember the gentleman. I woke up in the middle of the night, and he said, in order to close this wealth gap, we have to start introducing our younger people to technology. Because as we all say, there's no more land. The land we have, the land Miss Queen Lizzie is holding on to.
It's
How do we
gone.
access that? How do we access that? So we're in a very funny stage as African Americans when it comes to land ownership, when it comes to, and I'm going to say land ownership, where when it comes to our educational systems, and especially now, everybody, we are Central Florida, we are on stage right now when it comes to
Yes.
Black history. How
Yes.
did we get here? How
Yes.
did we get here? And so we have to be careful and start to redefine what does diversity, equity, and inclusion really mean to us? And is that an equitable model for us?
Dr.
Very good
King
point.
said that he led his people into a burning building. He said that's a quote. Go
Yeah,
look it up. That's a quote.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
a quote. We know
yeah,
what desegregation did to us.
yeah,
Yeah.
Inclusion is doing the same thing. It's the inclusion is keeping their knee on our neck,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's what it's doing. It's keeping
yeah,
their knee on their neck. And even though, like she said, the stores, Macy's got a collection of Juneteenth, crap. We didn't
yeah,
need a Juneteenth holiday nationally,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
We didn't need that.
No,
But they found a way to say, hey, we're gonna take this from them as well,
and
right?
it drained our economy. And
Right.
when we think about it, so in Central Florida right now, and I'm glad to see all of these different Juneteenth events happening within our communities. It's
Right.
wonderful to see, right? And it's
Yeah.
education, but again, at the same time, we're spending a lot of resources creating those. And so in certain cases, we have to wonder who's the beneficiary, who's
Right.
benefiting from this.
Right.
So, in, yeah,
Yes, it's rough. It's
Very good
rough.
point. Very good point. Ms. Lizzie, did you want to add something to that?
They said it well. I agree,
Yeah.
because when we started losing our property or selling our property, that's when we started losing our respect. And
Right.
then sometimes they took our property. Most of the
yeah,
time,
Yes, most times.
Yeah. They,
they're still doing it now. Regentification. They're doing
right.
it now right here in Gainesville. I just hated our once of a lifetime Black communities. Oh my God. The
They
university
put a highway through them.
highway,
They put
yes.
highway through
And you know what? Even the property I live on today that my grandfather purchased, great grandfather, the highway on the front side runs through it, Highway 27, and on the back, the train. And what we're doing right now, we're investigating to see if they paid for it. If not, then CRX, you owe us.
them. Right.
2 miles
Right.
Hello.
on the other side, on the opposite side of our property. And then the highway, we're working on it right through it because back then they didn't get permission. They just
Right.
took what they wanted to. And
Right.
today, if we are not careful, and they're doing it pen with using the pen today. Okay, but back then they didn't use the pen. They just was disrespectful and took what they wanted to do. I agree with
Okay.
you.
Yeah. I want to change gears a little bit. I want everybody's opinion about Governor DeSantis and what's happening here in Florida.
yeah, yeah,
Have you heard about it, Terry?
Of course.
yeah,
I just think that he just part of the white supremacy, that's been, in the forefront. It's like white supremacy. Like there's no like the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. They got a headquarters. With white supremacy, it it just happens. It's an ideology that happens, right? And so
Right.
there's no place where you can go and destroy or set a bomb to it. Whatever it is, it got right. It's something that got to happen miraculously for it to be destroyed. And even those federalized uh my nation that I'm a part, that I'm sovereign to, right? They're part of it too. Because they are not allowing those who are listed as freemen into the tribe, right? Like for me, I'm sovereign, I'm by blood, right? They're by blood. But when the census came down for whatever reason, I got cousins that look like me, that talk like me. And I'm talking about dark as I am, right? I'm blood in as Muskogee Creek. You know what I mean? And my grandmother, she was just as dark as I was. And so, but it's they upholding racism as well too. They they won't allow certain things. It's so rampant right now, right? And so,
Do we even know how we should attack this, Barbara? That what's happening with DeSantis and this AP African American studies that they're trying to withhold. How do we attack that? What do we even do?
Right, right. And because because it's happening so fast and random, we like
Right,
this. We
right,
just bobbing and weaving. And
right. Before
right,
we
we
know
just
it,
trying
there'll
to,
be a
yeah.
law.
Yeah, we're bobbing and weaving, and then in that we're still trying to hold what feels normal to us. So one of the things, and I've heard this said on two occasions, Dr. Julian Chambliss and Dr. Trinessa Williams, it's kind of a sort of mind control, a thought control. And so when you start to want to discontinue Black history, what's that thing, that phrase, where woke no longer lives here, where woke comes to die? That's a kind of mind control, a thought control. Those are patterns. It's so excessive. It's so excessive in itself. And then once again, what it's doing, it's bringing us back as African Americans and those who are not African Americans, who feel that this is ridiculous, this is an outrage. In February at the Heritage Center, I was doing almost 2 tours a day. That has never happened for the duration I've been here. And majority of those tours were non-African Americans.
Right.
Because once
Wow.
again, once you start to say, I can't read this, don't look at this, da da da, all of those things are mind control. And nobody wants to ever feel like somebody is telling them what to intake,
Right,
what to
right,
process. So
right.
now we've gotten, in some cases, we are now returning and digging out information for ourselves. I don't know what the process is or the address is. You have people who are going to Tallahassee and fighting this, those kinds of things. I say this is when, again, we come back into our communities. There are a lot of people now giving out the banned books, a lot of the free book giveaway. We now have to build libraries in our home. LaWanda Thompson, who is an advocate in the community, making sure that we have libraries in our home, because we will no longer have access to these things in the schools. So once again, we have to come back to those things that kept us before. And I think that's one of the first ways in which to address this, because now you're talking about our education, when in Black communities and Black families, we have always been taught education is our way out. This is what we have always taught, and this is what
That's
we
right.
know to be factual. Education is our way out. So when you start to deprive and withhold that, not just from us, but from everyone else to know about us.
Because I think it's just as important for everyone to know as it is for us to know as well, because that's where their mindset comes from, because they don't have this knowledge.
That's
Because they
correct.
think that we're superior. Well, no, not really. You
Yeah,
didn't hear the whole story. You got to read the other history book, right?
that's
Um,
exactly right. And
I
this is
just
why the Lizzie Jenkins are so important. This is why the
yes,
Terrys are so important. This is why Farrell and Livingston, these historic
hmm
communities, this is where this is why it's so important that we protect this. Yeah, I'm looking at Terry's text as well. Yeah.
Yes,
oh wow,
it is important. And you want to know what about DeSantis? He is trying to ban books, and as he banned, I'm playing. We playing. Okay.
Yeah.
yes,
Here at the University of Florida, as I speak, and I met with them Friday of last week, we are writing a Rosewood curriculum. He is not stopping this.
Right.
We cannot allow, I don't care what kind
Yes,
of pen he used to sign anything, he can't stop. He will not stop us.
that's right.
We just got to stick together and let him know this is our country. What are
That's
you
right.
doing here? You're an immigrant. We
Come
built
on.
this country,
Come on.
the Indians, okay, first, number one, black folks was forced here, were
That's
forced
right.
here. We got a job to do. I met one of the guys he sent to the university to be his president. I met him 20th of May. I had written him a letter. I took the letter down, but I put up a document on my Facebook from the law office at the University of Florida, and I left it there. But I took the message I had written to him down. And guess what? On the 20th of May, a young man stepped out of his car because I wanted to meet him. He was sent here by DeSantis. He is not in education. He was something else. I don't remember, military. But I wanted to meet that guy. And on May 20th, a young man stepped out and said, "Hello, ma'am. My name is Bob Sass." And the wife said, "And I'm Melissa Sass." And I said, "And I'm Lizzie Jenkins. Nice to meet you." And I said, "Did you say Bob Sass, president of the University of Florida?" He said, "Yes." I said,
Wow.
"God sent." Blew his mind. He didn't know where I was going with that. God sent. God sent him because I needed to talk to him. So we got
Yes.
a chance to talk for the next 20 minutes. He had never heard of Rosewood. So he's my first student.
Oh,
The president of the University of Florida with all of these different nationalities, and he doesn't know about Rosewood. He's going to be my
wow.
first student.
Well,
And
good for you.
I blew his mind a second time. I said, "You know, my aunt, the Rosewood school teacher, taught school at the University of Florida." He looked at me and I know she's lying. But like I say, I don't share anything if I don't have the supporting evidence.
That's right. Amen.
In 1939, I said it was a highly segregated and it was all boys. I said she taught downstairs in the basement.
Mm.
Those she taught remedial reading to those football players that could not read. Okay, downstairs, and she wore her maid outfit to school as a teacher and taught those kids. And I'm going to show him this, and I'm going to ask him now. You need to name a hole here at the University of Florida after her.
Amen.
I'm just
Well,
waiting
guys,
to. We
I
can.
can't wait about it. I can't wait to hear about it. That's going to be awesome. Who knows? Maybe we'll get him on the Ella Johnson show. All
Mhm.
Hey,
right. So I want to bring up your event, Barbara. That's tomorrow
Yes.
night. Those of you that are watching it here in
Yes.
the
Yes.
area,
Thank you. Yes. I'm
go.
excited for
I
this. I'm excited.
know. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
wish I was there. I do. You're
Yes.
gonna have another one though.
Yes,
I'll
I
be at the next
am.
one.
Yes, I am. Again, Sounds of Soul. This is in partnership with the Winter Park Playhouse, which is maybe a block or two in walking distance from the Heritage Center. And again, it is that message, that continual message for us of how we communicate and what communicates our stories. And
yes.
Lizzie was singing one of hers, His Eye is on the Sparrow. This has always, spirituals have always been our release. It has
Ooh,
always
that's one of
been
my
our release.
favorites.
Yes.
His eyes
Yes.
on the sparrow.
Our
You want to
release.
give us a little bit of that, Miss Lizzie?
They crying?
Do you want to give us a little bit of that one? His eyes on the
Oh,
sparrow.
you know I can't sing no, but I love it.
I
And
love
we
that song.
are, and we are the sparrows.
That's
Okay,
right.
that's who
Mm-hmm.
we are. His
That's
Amen.
right.
eye on us. And you know another thing that scares them. I watch television, especially the news media. The black female, awesome,
Yes.
smart,
Yeah.
intelligent. That blows the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, super. And look where we've come from to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay? And they're
Absolutely.
intimidated, cowards. They are not stopping us. They are not stopping us. And I would love to get on one of those shows like Joy Reid and
Oh yeah,
talk.
MSNBC. Oh yeah.
Yes, uh-huh.
You
And
will. You
tell
will.
Yes,
them,
you
You're on your
will.
way. You're on your way. You're definitely on your way. Then
yeah,
here's your flyer for Juneteenth. next
Yep.
Saturday.
That's right. Remember in Rosewood. This is going to be fantastic. You will be in the house, Miss
Yes,
Lizzie
I will be in the
Jenkins.
house.
It's
Yes.
going to be wonderful. We're doing a free Father's Day breakfast. We want everyone to come. The Father's Day breakfast, this was a way during civil unrest just to kind of do something for the men in our community. And then from that, we go into discussion. Valeda Fluellen, who is an author, poet, a historian in Central Florida community. She will be in conversation with Miss Lizzie, Miss Lizzie Johnson, Miss Lizzie Jenkins, Miss Lizzie Jenkins, and
Yay.
Dr. Alexandra Cornelius. We do Juneteenth honorees, and you know this was a way of the honoring that unsung leaders, our grassroots leaders. They do so much in our community. So it's gonna be a fantastic. We will have Nancy Ford. Nancy Ford is a songstress. She will be singing the national anthem, the Black anthem,
Nice.
National Negro
Yes.
anthem, and then she will also do another performance. Sean Welcome, who is Orlando's poet laureate, he will be doing a special tribute to Friends of Hannibal Square, the residents and friends of Hannibal Square. So we are excited. I'm beginning to get into the post real hot and heavy, and so we're looking for a really good turnout. And Ella Johnson, I can't wait to lay eyes on you.
I'm telling you, I
I'm
can't
so
wait.
excited.
I'm so excited too. It's gonna be
Yes,
fun.
it's
I
gonna
have
be
some
such a
pictures here
fun.
I wanted to share with everybody that I took off you guys
Ah,
pages that I thought wait. Oh, did you guys see the picture? Oh, there it is. Awesome. Look at
Those are
that.
two of our volunteers, Dana with the afro, Bridget with the braids. Bridget is an advocate in the community for the elder. She works with the Alzheimer's Dementia Resource Center. And we drove out to Rosewood to get some of the dirt. We had to get some of the dirt.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Then I have a picture here of you guys.
That is the night of the opening. That was the opening night of an elegy to Rosewood. And we're actually in
This.
the downstairs gallery here. Yep, that's
my
it. May the
grandmother.
12th.
Those are
Yeah.
my grandparents.
Those are your
And that
grandparents? Oh,
outfit.
let's go back. Let's
Let's
look at
go
it.
back. That's the
Oh,
school
yeah, that's
teacher's
right.
mother, the school teacher's mother, and her father.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Nice.
The father
Awesome.
for right, that
I
passed for
love
white,
it.
infiltrated the
I love
KKK.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And
Hi.
Well, I
wow,
wanted to
go ahead,
I
Miss.
definitely
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
I definitely wanted to show Terry's flyer as well. Even though he's gone, I still want to show this. This is his
Nice,
feature film documentary, Greenwood Avenue Project. Um,
nice.
so
Wow.
from the people for the people is the title of it. And these are just some of the shots from his tours
Nice.
on yeah.
I'm so glad you had him on. Yes. It's
Yes,
so
and
Yeah,
put him
wonderful.
in touch with. I liked his contact information too.
oh
Mhm.
yeah, we'll definitely I'll make sure that we all share all of that with
That's
you guys. And I pulled this is a picture I pulled from
Oh
the
wow.
Tulsa massacre. Look at that.
Oh
Imagine this
wow.
baby care. Oh my God. That when
Yeah.
I saw that, I was in tears. And then look at the queen. The
Yes.
queen.
ah,
Yes.
Love it. Love it.
Now her
Love
site is
it.
under construction right now, guys. But look, I love that photo of you. That
Yes.
is, I could see that being an art, just art in a
Yes.
museum somewhere. It's just
Beautiful.
that powerful. Says so
really,
much. All the
really.
colors, it just says so much to me. But guys, listen, let me pull over here, see what comments we're getting, because we're definitely getting ready to get out of here because the show will be rebroadcast on Saturday as well. The
Yes.
historical storytelling is going to come more important than ever
Agreed.
before. I totally
Agreed.
agree. Yeah, that's why I want to definitely have me a recording of something
Yes.
because this is something my grandkids will watch
Yes.
Exactly.
and learn from because I'm looking forward to seeing an encyclopedia by you.
That's right.
The whole A to Z. I'm looking forward to that, Miss Lizzie. Yes.
And
Yes, I'm just
I
speaking
want to
some
point out behind me, this is a painting by Pedro. Pedro, gosh, his name
Jermaine,
just slipped me.
Jermaine.
Pedro Germain, where
nice.
Lizzie described to him the scene in My name is blocking it. but you will see the people are running through. If you remove my name, you'll see more of it. Can it be
I
removed?
I don't think so.
Mhm.
No, I
Okay.
don't want to. Yeah, I can't remove
That's
it.
okay. Yeah. And so this is on display. This is part of an elegy to Rosewood, beautiful painting, and it made it to the cover of the Orlando Arts magazine.
Yes.
So that will be on display when you come. And it's just so powerful. And he did this painting basically by the information that Lizzie shared with him, the storytelling piece.
Wow,
This is all
really?
storytelling, and he had to come up with that information. So I agree with the brother who said this will be our way. This will be our way
This
to
is
pass, continue to pass
absolutely,
history down.
absolutely, absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
ladies, I have truly enjoyed this evening. I was looking forward to this all week because I love history too. And there's just so, believe it or not, there were, and I'm not gonna be ashamed to say there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know, and I've been around for a while. So I know I'm probably not the only one who doesn't know this information, but we need to get excited about our history,
Yes.
and we need to make it become American history, because
Yes.
we always celebrate Black History Month. That's an insult to me, but
Yeah.
Black History Month, but it's American history. No, it's you guys' history too.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Juneteenth is your history, because a lot of people don't even understand. Well, what's this Juneteenth? What is
Yeah.
it about anyway? Why do we celebrate it? Because there are two Independence Days in this country. That's the second
Hmm.
one.
That's right.
So we need to understand that. Don't just celebrate just to celebrate. Find out why you're celebrating it. Find out what it means. Find out what it means for your children. Well, we're gonna definitely get out of here. Does anyone have to say anything else before we get out of here? Y'all know how
Thank
we do in church,
you.
Miss Lizzie. Are all hearts and minds satisfied?
Yes.
Right?
I enjoyed it so very, very much. I learned
I'm
Tremendously.
so excited.
too.
Well,
Tremendous.
thank you,
Thank you,
ladies.
Ella. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And I look forward to meeting you in person.
Look forward to meeting you guys too. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into the Ella Johnson Show. We'll be back tomorrow night for another True Stories here at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. Good night.
Absolutely. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now, and we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on The Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.